Billboard Rewind. Billboard Rewind. Billboard Rewind. Hello, folks. Today we rewind to early September 1993, a moment when alternative rock, R&B, reggae pop, hip-hop, and mainstream pop were all shaping a wildly diverse musical landscape. MTV was still steering national taste, movie soundtracks were driving major chart moments, and the industry was shifting into a new blended sound. I'm Mama Kay, he's Billboard chart guy, and this week on Billboard Rewind, we're talking about the top of the charts for the week ending September 4th, 1993. And right off the top, just a reminder, all songs we talk about in this episode, not all songs, but the songs on the charts and our bonus songs can be found with links to their Spotify in the liner notes of the show. How are you doing, Billboard chart guy? I know you had a big weekend, but I'm glad to be recording here with you today.
Yes. Glad to still have a voice. 4 nights in Brooklyn, sing my one of my favorites, The Hold Steady. They do this annually, and just a great time seeing old friends. And but I got to tell you, each year the recovery gets a little harder. So
that comes with age.
Yes, it does.
Totally
But happy to be back in New Hampshire and ready to go. And this era is a I love this early 90s to mid 90s era of music. Obviously we've talked about grunge before, but there's also some of my favorite hip hop songs are in this era, and just some really good pop songs. And I think the charts this week will cover all of that. Yes,
I was very excited to actually get this week because it was my first fall working full-time in New York City for, at that time, it was Westwood One, it was Unistar Radio Network, which became Westwood One Radio Network. And I was working a lot in programming and content. So I was excited to get this week. I will say, without spoiling anything, I was a little disappointed in the top 5 that we got. Not that there aren't good songs there, and we'll talk about them in a minute, but I was kind of hoping for some other stuff that didn't make its appearance at this time in that year. So I didn't know at the time when we got the week, what the hits were. My memory doesn't, go back that far. So, but we're gonna talk about some songs, and obviously we have our bonus songs that we get to chat about and throw in some of our own personal picks.
That's right.
So
all right,
you are up first with the number 5 song. Go ahead.
Yeah, so number 5, the week ending September 4th, 1993, was Runaway Train by Soul Asylum. So this song peaked at number 5. Soul Asylum was a rock band out of Minneapolis. I was a fan of theirs back in the day. They probably were a tier or 2 down from some of the bigger rock bands of the moment, thinking about Pearl Jam and Nirvana and the Black Crowes and a few others in the early 90s. But I really liked this band. Runaway Train comes off their Grave Dancers Union album. And like I said, it was their only top 10 hit. You may recognize some of these other songs that Somebody to Shove got to number 1 on the alternative chart. Black Gold got to number 6 on that chart. They had a song called Misery, which got to number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. And then the other song I wanted to reference from them, and I talked about this in an episode with Melissa Gorman when we talked about covers, they do one of my all-time favorite covers, and it's of Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye.
Right.
Yeah. So the thing, Mama, I remember most about this song was the video.
Right. So the missing children video.
Yes, it's a song about missing children, and the video is very poignant. So that was kind of the first takeaway when this hit. It's a good song. To me, some of the other songs that I just rattled off are better, but I like it. I don't know where you stood with this band. If you had a lot of visibility to them, you must have, being in radio.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
I do want to say that video that was for Runaway Train actually was credited with helping locate more than 20 missing children. So
That's amazing.
not only was it a socially conscious, approach to the song and video, it actually had tangible results with it. Obviously, MTV was a much bigger platform for people to be watching back then. In fact, they were at the height of their TRL and their unplugged shows, and still showing videos, which I don't believe they ever do anymore. But that shows you how big that platform was for videos at the time, because it did locate a lot of kids. So I thought that was very, very cool. Yeah, I like Soul Asylum. It's funny, when I think of them, the first thing I think of, Dave Pirner, who's the lead singer, dated Winona Ryder in the mid-90s.
That's right.
So
That's right.
It's kind of my pop culture brain coming out when I think of Soul Asylum, was that pairing. I guess they met at a MTV Unplugged taping, and we'll talk about MTV Unplugged again in the future here. But this album, I don't know if I had it. I definitely knew a lot of the songs. Somebody to Shove's a really good song. I enjoy that. They came up in the early 80s alongside Husker Du and the Replacements in Minneapolis. So,
yeah.
The Replacements of Friend's song. They're similar. They're a little, I would say, Soul Asylum's a little harder than the Replacements as far as rock edge to them. I enjoyed them. I liked this song quite a bit. It was very catchy. I didn't really know it was about missing children till the video came out, and I had forgotten that again until I went back and listened to it again. And it kind of takes some of the lightness of the song away, to be honest. But I like it. It reminds me of another song, when you find out what it's like. There's songs when you find out what they're about, kind of change the whole vibe of the song for you moving forward. And there was a song a couple years ago, maybe like 10 years ago now, where it was about school shootings. But it was like a really catchy song, and you sing along with it, and then you think, oh, okay, Pumped Up Kicks, that song. So
okay.
Kind of, not that the songs are alike, but that in that vibe, you just think of it as a lighter song, and then that's what it's about. And then the video obviously did a lot of good, so that's good. I know that that they also with the videos, that the US version video was different than the UK version, and a third version for international markets, and they all showed different missing children. So little background on that. This album was huge, though. I think it was 2 times platinum, over 2.5 million sold. By far their biggest album. Their album after this, not their second album, but because this album was really where they broke through. They had a few before that.
Yep.
Their Let Your Dim Light Shine, which came after this. They had Misery, you had mentioned, and the song Just Like Anyone. That was a smaller hit album, and they kind of faded away after that. But yeah, this was their big album. But I'm a fan. I have good thoughts of Soul Asylum, other than when I first think of him dating Winona Ryder, which is my first thought.
I thought the same thing earlier when I was reviewing my notes as well. I remembered that. So yeah. So I don't. Well,
she's of course back in the pop culture with Stranger Things now. So
that's right.
Her career's lasted quite a bit longer than his. So I think that's about it for Runaway Train.
Why don't you take on number 4? Why don't you start us off?
Number 4 is from Jodeci. It's the song Lately, which is, we mentioned MTV Unplugged a few minutes ago. This was a live MTV Unplugged performance of Stevie Wonder's ballad Lately, which became a huge R&B powerhouse. It peaked at number 4. That was its position this week. I look back at Jodeci, and I was kind of going through their catalog of stuff. I was more familiar with their offshoot of Casey and JoJo, which we'll talk about in a minute. But okay. Jodeci was, I actually really liked their version of the song. I didn't remember it, to be fair. And when I listened to it, it's a really good, beautiful version of it. I have to say it was, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it. And, I wasn't a huge Jodeci. That wasn't my vibe of music at this time in my life. I was big into, obviously, alternative. I kind of did some, country. And I was also, and we'll get to this a little later, I was kind of more into my jazz kind of chill music too. So this, even though it was smooth R&B, and they definitely had like that gospel tone to them, but they looked like a rap group. So they really kind of invented hip hop soul style, which influenced a lot of other people, Drew Hill, Chris Brown, Usher, they all came after that. But they kind of changed the way male R&B groups looked like moving forward. Because I think a lot before them were doing the suits and the kind of the matching suits and ties, and they really went more rap with their looks. But then they sang, and they were very smooth and gospel like. So I did like the song. I went through this song was huge for them, and they actually had a recorded version, but they had this MTV Unplugged, and it became so popular that's what radio stations played, and the live version became the hit over the studio version. So and then I had mentioned they had their offshoots. So the band members were Casey and JoJo, and then Devontae Swing. He was kind of the guy who crafted the group's identity to begin with. But Casey and JoJo offshot and had the big hit All My Life, which you would probably know. Yeah, baby, 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 baby. It starts with that violin, and then So they kind of had a life after Jodeci. I went back and listened to some of their stuff, just to familiarize myself with them. They're like kind of were, for the time, a contemporary Barry White almost. They had their songs were smooth, but they were like sexual, but with gospels. It was a weird mix of stuff, I have to say. But their one song I really liked is they came back. They had a resurgence in 2015. They have a song called Every Moment that has a little more funk to it, and I enjoy that song. But this performance, however, of lately is really good. And I would say of their early catalog would be my favorite song they did. So what do you think of Jodeci lately?
Yeah, so I liked it. So basically, it's a Stevie Wonder cover. So that piqued my interest. I love Stevie Wonder. This came from his album from 1980, Hotter Than July, which the big hit off that album, you may know of it, is something called Master Blaster. So I went back and I listened to his version, and I listened to Jodeci's version. I kind of am partial to the Jodeci version of this. Really well done. This was their only top 10 hit as Jodeci. And you described it really well in terms of, how they portrayed themselves stylistically, musically. It's a solid pop song. It's definitely, the performance is definitely of its time, for sure. But no beef with this song. And again, anybody, you got to do it really wrong for me not to like a Stevie Wonder cover. So kudos to these guys.
Yeah, they updated it in a really good way, I would say. And their vocals were great, and the arrangement was good. And I was pleasantly surprised because I didn't remember it until I went back and listened. And, it didn't hit my radar much at the time, but I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yep. Good.
Wow. Anything else on Jodeci?
Oh, I'm all good with Jodeci. I'm anxious to get your take on the next one. I think it's my turn to start, though.
Yes, it is. So you get to give me your notes on the next one.
Well, number 3 this week is WHOOMP. There it is by Tag Team, which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. It did get to number 1 on the Hot R&B chart. So this song has been around forever. It's another one of those songs that you hear at arenas and stadiums. Tag Team was from Atlanta, Georgia. This was their only top 10 hit. There's not much to say about it. I mean, I did listen to it again, and I kind of feel the same way I did about 32 years ago. I was like, okay, it's and to me, it even now, probably less then, but more now, it comes across as a novelty song. I don't think it's their intention. Yeah, it is.
Well,
what do you think?
So there's a funny story about this song, and maybe about a year ago, I was listening to another music podcast, and this song came up, or it might have been the other song in which had a rivalry with it, and I realized that in my head, I never knew there was 2 songs that were almost identical. I just combined them in my memory as one song. And that is the song Woot, There It Is, which is also released the same year, not too far before this. In fact, it's on this chart that we're covering today. It had fallen off out of the top of the chart. But Woot, the WHOOMP versus Woot rivalry, which I never, like I said, I don't think at the time I knew there was 2 songs. I think I had always thought I probably heard one, thought it was the other, heard the other, thought it was that. I thought it was one song, but there are 2 separate songs, and that podcast I listened to kind of brought it to my attention. I immediately went home and listened to both songs to get the delineation. So a little bit about this rivalry. So they emerged within weeks. The first one was Woot, There It Is, came out March 93 by 95 South, and Tag Team, this one, WHOOMP, There It Is, May 1993. So just a couple of months. And the Woot peaked at number 11, while WHOOMP made it to number 2, and it became the version that you had mentioned, got tied to sports arenas, mainstream culture. What happened was, I guess there was the phrase was already common in like the South in the clubs. So like people were saying Woot, There It Is, or WHOOMP, There It Is. And it just kind of became a catchphrase. And the 95 South band claimed that Tag Team stole, they heard that they were making a song, or they heard a demo of it before it was released. And they basically raced into the studio to make their own version of it. They both are very similar. The hook is almost the same. The difference from where I think you can tell the difference now that I know that there's 2 separate songs that up until about a year ago, I always combined as one in my mind. Woot definitely has more synth. It's definitely synth heavy. The WHOOMP version, which is the one we're talking about today, has the hook where, can you dig it? We can dig it. Can you dig it? We can. That's WHOOMP, where Woot has shakalaka, 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 boom. So they're both have those kind of catches, 2 different songs. I just thought it was crazy that I had no idea that they were 2 separate songs until recently. And then it shows up on our little list here. So I get to talk about that I just found that out.
It leads to a question.
Yes.
Because I did not listen to the 95 South song.
Yep.
Which one do you prefer?
Well, I think the reason why Whoomp, There It Is endured more into the stadiums and became a bigger hit overall on the charts is because it has a little more of that dance beat and the callbacks and a little more of that fun where the synth stuff with Woot is it it doesn't kind of have that playfulness that the Whoomp There It Is has, where the crowd can really get into it. So I would say I would go with Whoomp There It Is for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's that's the rivalry between the two songs, and again, not even realizing. I don't know if in '93 when those songs were both played on the radio that I realized there was two separate songs. I think
I had no idea. No, this is breaking news to me.
Yeah, see, there you go. And it was to me when I heard someone talk about this before too. So it was. This is definitely the bigger of the two. Yeah, I think it was 4 times platinum. It has that bass, that like the Miami bass party energy, and so it's gonna stick out. And it's a fun song. I know you're sick of it probably, but yeah. I enjoy it. I enjoy the other one too. And honestly, up until recently, if I had heard that, I would think it was the same thing. Except I'd probably be going, "Where's the Can You Dig It part?" And then it would have been the other one. And
right.
I would have thought it was like 2 different edits or something of the same song sung by the same people. But I knew Tag Team, like I know the band Tag Team. I've never in my life heard the band 95 South. So
exactly. Yep.
So they definitely won the battle, I would say. So anything else on Whoomp? There It Is.
Nothing on Whoomp or Whoop.
So nothing on either. Okay.
I'm good to go. Yeah, you want to take on number 2?
Yes. Number 2. All right. From the mega star Mariah Carey, Dream Lover. And this was a big hit. I'll let you talk about the charts, but I know it spent 8 weeks at number 1, and it was kind of her shift towards a more R&B infused pop sound. She had, come out in 90, early 90s. She met her. So the story with her was her demo was heard by Tommy Mottola, head of Sony. Heard her demo in 1998. He really, really, really liked it. Wanted to aggressively track her down and sign her, but he also aggressively tracked her down and married her in 1993. As it came out later, she had said he was very controlling. She felt like a prisoner, but he was the one who discovered her, quote unquote, discovered her and brought her all the initial fame with her Vision of Love song, which broke. I remember working at Kiss 108 when that song came out. And it was, I remember the Sony reps coming to our office and saying, "You have to hear this new voice. And this is she's going to be huge. And she's just a teenager and she's amazing. She's the new Whitney Houston." It was the hype on her was so big. And you know what? She certainly had the success. So they were right in that regards. But I think she had a head start with her husband, soon-to-be husband and soon-to-be ex-husband, Tommy Mottola, pushing for her all the way. Now, this song, I will say I'm not a huge Mariah fan. I enjoy her. I mean, she's obviously a very talented singer. She's got some songs I do enjoy. This isn't one of them that I like that much.
Okay.
I like, like One Sweet Days. I like that song. I like Vision of Love has nostalgia to me because I remember when that came out. And Emotions I like better than this song. And of course, being the Christmas season, who doesn't like her Christmas song that's played? I say sarcastically. I actually do like that song, but it's, become a meme at this point. But this song, I know that it was starting to let her get away from the vocal gymnastics that she had started with. That was her staple.
Right.
That high pitched screeching, like high note that she did, which she doesn't do on this song. So it was it was a change for her to get a hit like this. So that part of it, and it kind of became her shifting a little bit more to a lighter pop, R&B infused pop sound, as opposed to all the ballads and everything she had been doing and all the vocal gymnastics. But other than that, I'm just not a huge Mariah fan. I remember her being drunk on some Christmas special, and she seemed to go through some trouble. But as I know, she had a tough upbringing, and then she got married to a jail captor. So I do have empathy for her struggles as well. But yeah, that's what I think about Dream Lover. Not super big fan of it. Doesn't do much.
Right.
Doesn't do much for me.
So I hope you're sitting down.
Oh, you love this song. You're going to tell me you love this song.
This is a great song. I don't know what you're talking about. This is a great song. Let me give you the stats first. You mentioned 8 weeks at number one, September 5th to October 30th. 28 top 10 hits. 19 of them got to number one. Her first 4 singles all went to number one. Vision of Love, Love Takes Time, Someday, I Don't Want to Cry. Her vocal range is incredible. I mean, I that Vision of Love song, when it first came out and you heard it, it was so different. Just how she performed that. That song is great. This song I really enjoyed. It was fun listening to it again. I kind of, and my wife makes fun of me, but I've been a fan of hers for quite a while. In fact, probably through 2005, when she put out, it was her comeback album at the time, called The Emancipation of Mimi. It had 2 big hits, We Belong Together and Shake It Off, the original Shake It Off. Yeah, I was thrilled to see this song on this list. This is pop perfection. How about that, Mama?
Listen, to each their own. I prefer her, if we're talking about her breezier, lighter pop songs, I like Fantasy. I like, those ones are a little bit more, I prefer those. But
okay.
There's nothing wrong. Listen, we all have our picadillos, as they say, and sometimes they don't always fit into a predictable box. So you're a big Mariah fan. I'm not a big Mariah fan, so you can be the Mariah stan for.
I'll be the Mariah guru here.
Yes, right. You can be. I do know this song was actually going to be a lot more dancey, and she wanted to strip it back to make it a little breezier and more summery. So she did achieve that. It is definitely like a summer song. It has that vibe.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the video, she's driving in a convertible. Is that the?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So, yeah. So number 2 is Mariah, and should I take number 1?
Yeah.
To kick us off.
You are up.
All right. Well, the number 1 song this week was "Can't Help Falling in Love" by UB40. This was off the Sliver soundtrack. So UB40, British band, they ended up having 4 top 10 hits. Red Red Wine got to number 1. Here I Am, Come and Take Me in 1990 got to number 7. The Way You Do the Things You Do got to number 6. And then Can't Help Falling in Love with You obviously got to number 1. So it's probably just me. I have never liked this group. They annoy me. I don't know if it's their propensity to only put out covers, or all their covers are hits. For them to cover Elvis, okay, and there aren't many who have done a good job covering Elvis. I love Can't Help Falling in Love with You, and this version, it irritates me to no end. I wish I could hang up the phone on you right now because I want to talk about it. That's how much I dislike this version of Can't Help Falling in Love.
Come on, that's not
Yeah.
bad.
Oh, yuck.
See, we're gonna disagree again. I mean, I'm not a huge UB40 groupie or anything, but I like this song. I do, and I like obviously the original, and I'm a fan of the original. But I do love the the organ at the beginning of this song, and it kind of then just goes right into the synth and the horns. Then the horns come in, and then you get that reggae groove. And I'm a sucker. I like some reggae groove. So I probably like this. Obviously, red. I always have trouble saying red wine.
Yep.
Really hard to say that 10 times. Go ahead. Red wine. That was a bigger hit, but this I would prefer over that. I just like this song better than that one. Yeah, they definitely are the cover band. As far as their success, they also did I Got You, Babe. They covered Sonny and Cher's song. They covered Kingston Town, which is lesser known. Lord Creator did that originally. It's definitely more reggae. But the way you do the thing you do is obviously Temptations. But I don't have bad thoughts about this song. I liked it. I like the groove. For me, if we're talking summer songs, I know this is September 4th, and so we're post-summer at this point, but Dream Lover, if I were going to listen to a song with my top down in the summer and convertible, by the way, when I say that, just to clarify, I would prefer to listen to this over Dream Lover. So that's where we depart in our agreement. But I actually like the song Kingston Town a lot more than any of them, but that's just a little bit more reggae forward. It's not, it doesn't have the reimagining of a non-reggae song. It was a reggae song that was covered, so it was reggae from the start.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that they didn't actually pick this for the movie placement for the Sliver the movie soundtrack. Is they were the producers approached them because Red Wine had proven how well the covers resonated with the mainstream audiences, and they came to them and asked them to do it. So I thought that was interesting.
I enjoy reggae. I mean, you throw on that Bob Marley greatest hits, is everybody's happy. Peter Tosh Jimmy Cliff just passed away a couple of weeks back. Peter Tosh, no beef with reggae. It's just something that's since 1980 something, whenever I discovered this band, they've been rubbing me the wrong way. So
they were formed in 1978. So as soon as they basically became anything, you've hated them. I gotcha.
That's it.
Yeah. You know where their name came from, right?
Maybe refresh my memory.
Well, they grew up in a very working class neighborhood of Birmingham, England, and their name was taken from the British unemployment form.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, it was the UB40 form.
Huh.
So yeah, they kind of had that socially conscious vibe to a lot of their lyrics too when they weren't covering other people's songs.
Right.
Yeah. So, well, now we know Mariah. I'm definitely not as big of a UB40 fan as you are of Mariah, but now I will take them over Mariah. Put it that way.
Okay. That's the deal. That's a deal.
Okay, so we're moving on to bonus tracks.
Sure.
So am I up first, I guess?
Sure.
Number one. Okay. So this was a fun one for me. Lots of memories with this particular song and band. I went with I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles by the Proclaimers, which was at number 9 this week. It is called I'm Gonna Be, not I Will Walk 500 Miles or I Would Walk 500 Miles, which it always gets called that. That's the mistake that people refer this song. Oh, I would walk 500 miles. That's a great song, or I hate that song, or whatever. They would say it that way. It's I'm Gonna Be 500 miles because of the sequence of lyrics that start, when I wake up, I'm gonna be the man sleeping next to you. I'm gonna be, and then the hook is I would walk by. So it kind of is a little bit confusing for people when they're talking about this song. That's just a little quirk that I learned when I was interviewing these guys in 1993, which I had the pleasure of doing when I worked for Unistar Radio Network at the time. They came in. They are two twin brothers, Charlie Craig Reed. They did folk rock songwriting, thick Scottish accents, which I'll talk about in a minute from my interview. They were definitely something completely new on the charts. They like nothing you had ever heard. This song was on the album. It was featured in the 1993 movie Benny and June. Pardon me. And when I got to interview them, I was fairly young, and I was really keen on learning how to riff off of the artist's answers to get my next questions. And it was a big learning curve I learned when I interviewed them, because I would have the first 5 or so questions, and then the rest of the interview would be me really listening to their answers and then maybe having follow-ups. However, when you can't understand what their answers are, I learned I needed to have some backup questions.
Right.
Because they came in and they had the thickest accents that I had ever heard. And I was sitting there literally staring like a deer in headlights when they would answer, because I had no idea what they said. I asked the questions and I was like, oh no, I have no idea. And I don't know if my next question is going to actually repeat something they just answered, or I was having a terrifying moment with that interview. It was a little like Shakespeare. After about 5 to 10 minutes, I started to understand that Scottish brogue, and I was picking it up better. I really don't know what they said in the first half. I had to go back and listen to it afterwards and try to decipher. Thankfully, it wasn't live. It was, taped and then cut up for stuff later where they didn't catch my crazy what. So it was definitely hard for me to do that interview. I learned a lot of lessons. And but this song is, just to go back to the song really quick, and I enjoyed this song quite a bit. It's fun. It's fun, and it reminds me of the 90s. It reminds me of that time working. I learned the word havering, right, which I didn't know at the time. I learned that when I interviewed them. As one of my questions I asked them, by the way. It's Scottish slang to ramble, to babble, to chatter on. Okay. So, but this was clearly their biggest hit. They had, I think I'm on My Way was a somewhat of a smaller hit, and Sunshine on Leith. That was all from this album, Sunshine on Leith from 1988. The song came out earlier than it was on this chart. It wasn't until it was in the movie that it became a hit. So that's how that happened. And just a little factoid that I remember from the interview that I did was the da 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 da. That part, they had just improvised that during recording, as it was meant to be a placeholder and fill in some lyrics, and it just stuck, and it ended up being what everybody sings along with. So it worked.
Yeah.
So.
That's probably the most memorable part of the song.
One of them, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I remember this. I was trying, as you started talking, I was trying to remember the movie it was from. So thank you. So that was a Johnny Depp movie, right? You mentioned.
Yes, Benny and June.
Benny and June.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the actress who was in that with him. You would think I would remember that, but
I don't. And I don't. You mentioned a couple other songs. I have no recollection or memory.
Yeah, they were. I believe that one song was "I'm on My Way." I believe, Mary Stuart Masterson, by the way,
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
She played June. It was Johnny Depp and Mary Stuart Masterson. And they had like, I think Julianne Moore, Oliver Platt, they were in that. But yeah, I think that I'm on My Way was a mild hit, but they're kind of a one-hit wonder when you think about it off the top of your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
1988.
Very nice guys. Very nice.
Yeah.
Guys.
Oh, good. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That you got that opportunity throughout your career to interview some of these guys. That's really cool.
Yeah, and like I said, this is a very memorable interview because I realized I had to have some depth in my questions, and I really had to really work on my understanding Scottish brogue. I wasn't prepared for that enough, apparently. So it was a learning experience, but they were very nice. And by the end, I could definitely make them out. And they looked exactly alike, and they had the glasses. I couldn't tell them apart. And if they were standing in front of me, if they had like switched 3 times, I wouldn't have known which one was which. I only did because when they came in, they introduced themselves, and I had to keep it. But yeah, they're fun little song. That's one that still gets played. You hear that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And everybody knows it from the 90s, anybody who's of any certain age and older will know that song. And they will call it I Will Walk 500 Miles. And you have to correct them and say, I'm gonna be 500 miles.
Right. Well, yeah, you corrected me because I was calling it the other thing for.
Yeah. Well, and it's also the funny thing is then they're going to walk 500 more, so it's 1,000 miles they're walking. So
right.
Correct.
Yeah. Need some new treads after all the walking.
All right. What's your first bonus track?
My first one is "If I Had No Loot" by Toni.
Oh, I'm so happy you picked this. Okay, go ahead.
I love this song. Toni. This is from their this was the lead single from their third album, Sons of Soul, peaked at number 7 on the Hot 100. These guys had 3 top 10 hits. Feel Good got to number 9. This obviously got to number 7, I just mentioned, and the follow-up to this single was a song called Anniversary, which got to number 10. So this song, if you haven't heard it, is chock full of New Jack Swing. However you want to describe that, right, Mama? But it was just kind of.
I've heard it.
And it felt new and fresh, but they also tipped their cap quite a bit to classic soul, of the 60s and the 70s. So It felt old, but it just felt new at the same time. I just the beat of it, the groove. I've always loved this song. I might love the other song. The song Feels Good.
It feels good.
Maybe even more. But these guys were just really good. I love this single. So
I am just excited that you picked this because, first of all, not many people know Toni. Like, it's not a band I feel that has endured over the years as much as they should have. I got to meet them backstage during one of the Kiss concerts that I worked. I don't remember what year it would have been. I'm guessing since it was, I think it was probably 92. Feels Good was definitely on the radio because Kiss 108 was playing it. So that might put that closer to 92.
Because that was on the previous album called The
Yes,
Revival.
So 91, 92. It was one of those concerts. So I got to meet them, and I hung out with one of the guys, and I'm not sure which one, but what's funny is when we're going to promote this episode, I will pull up the photo of he and I. It's perfectly 90s in photo, like neon and bad hair for me, but it's a great memory. And every time I go through my Kiss 108 concert photos, there's a lot of big names in there that did these concerts, and everybody's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "That's Toni." No one knows who they are. So this guy was so nice, and in fact, he kind of latched himself to me and hung out with me a long time, because MC Hammer was that same Kiss concert, and he wanted to meet him, and he's like, "You can get me to meet him, right?" And I think Rod Stewart was there, and Carly Simon. There were some big names. Hall & Oates one of the years. So Toni, and Will Smith, I think, was one of the years. They weren't really the big names that everybody was swarming to. And I was kind of artist relations. So I hung with this guy for a while. And I'm going to find out what his name was, because I'll look up his picture and see which one it was. But they have such a soft spot in my heart. And I love that song. And they're great artists. So I'm glad to keep this.
One of the guys went on to have some solo success. I can't quote.
Was that Dwayne Wiggins? Was that
no
him?
Raphael Sadiq, Saadiq. I think he had. Let me see if I can get his real quickly. His discography. Solo. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, and yeah, I've always. This is one of those kind of lost songs of the 90s.
Sure. That's why I said it's kind of their lost band of the 90s, and I'm glad that you called them out. Yeah. I wanted, if it was their other song, if it was Feels Good, I would have picked it, but I had a couple of other songs. The Proclaimers I had to pick that one. We'll get to it after. But they're so talented. Toni. Great guy. At least the one guy I hung out with. I can't really attest to the other ones because I wasn't hanging with them, but the one that I did, I enjoyed quite a bit. His company. Very nice guy.
There he is.
Awesome. All right. So we will go to my next one. My second bonus song. So earlier I was saying that Jodeci in the early 90s, that was kind of what was going on with the R&B, smooth hip-hop R&B stylings, and it wasn't where I was at the time. I was definitely more into alternative and country, and I was going through a very, very big, intense Sting phase, because I adored his album, 10 Summoner's Tales, and this song, Fields of Gold, which was 34 this week, and it was actually at its peak. It was peaked at 23. I take that back. It spent 20 weeks on the Hot 100, ended up 87 for the year, was not, on the charts at the time, one of his biggest songs, but over time, it became one of his biggest songs. Like the recent data for Fields of Gold has like the total equivalent sales and streaming of like 6,590,000 units, putting it squarely near the top, maybe right behind the other single. And I'm talking about Sting's solo career, obviously. If I Ever Lose My Faith in You, which was more successful. Same album. Came out in 93, 10 Summoner's Tales. I adored this album. I played the heck out of it. It was like my chill relaxation, but also kind of there was funk in there. When I say funk, not like Toni kind of funk, but it had a little jazz vibe to it at times. I wasn't a huge Sting solo career fan up until this album. I loved The Police. I liked some of his earlier stuff, but nothing that really, like If You Love Somebody, Set Them Free. That was, I didn't love that song. Englishman in New York, I did off of his Nothing Like the Sun album, but this album, 10 Summoner's Tales, I loved. It's packed full of great songs. This being one of them, Fields of Gold. Oh, sorry. My alarm's going off. I have lots of other stuff going off. If I Ever Lose My Faith in You was on this. 7 Days, great song. Shape of My Heart, great song. St. Augustine is a great song. I know he followed it up with Brand New Day with a couple of other hits, Desert Rose. And his previous album, Soul Cages, had All This Time, which was another good song. But this particular song, I just love. I love this song. And this brings me back to 93 in my Sting phase. And, like I said, I was a big fan of The Police. But I enjoyed this solo album of Sting quite a bit, for sure. And I found out while doing a little research on Sting that I never knew that his name, do you know how his name came to be?
I don't. Is it about the shirts he wore?
Yes, his black and yellow striped sweater he always wore during recording in the early years of before they were famous. And they used to say he looked like a bumblebee. And then subsequently became called Sting, and it stuck. And obviously his real name is Gordon Sumner, in case anybody listening doesn't know that.
And do you remember what his occupation was before he became Sting?
I did at one time, but I've forgotten. What is it?
I think he was a school teacher.
Oh yeah, that's why isn't he in his video? He does the Don't Stand. Isn't that the one where he's the school teacher in the video? Or am I? Don't stand so close to me.
Yes.
He's got the stick and he's smacking the blackboard. I think that was that song, right?
I'm not sure of the video, but I remember the song.
I think he was playing a teacher in that.
Yes. Yeah.
That video, if memory serves. Yep. So
all right.
that's my second.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's good news because that was my second as well.
Oh, that's so funny. We've had our second time we've double dipped. So tell me, what do you got about it?
Well, I'll show you the paper afterwards. But I wrote adult contemporary schlock. I do not like this song at all. Let me give you a little background because.
But you picked it.
To me, The Police is a really important band to me. They're probably still in my top 10 bands of all time. Those albums meant a lot to me as a kid growing up. I discovered them when I was 13, and they broke up by the time I was 18. So I was very excited when A Dream of the Blue Turtles came out, which was Sting's first solo album. And unlike you, so we're completely backwards. I love that. If You Love Someone, Set Them Free got to number 3. Fortress Around My Heart was another single from that album, got to number 8.
That's a good song.
Love that. The second album brought us We'll Be Together, which got to number 7. And then the third album you referenced, Soul Cages, All This Time, got to number 5. But by the time, so I was with Sting for the ride until this album.
Really? And this is when I jumped on board.
When you jumped on and I jumped off. So there was more room for you when I jumped off, because to me, it was just so, to me, again, I was how many years older than you am? I am
6 years older than me.
6 years. It was just, oh my God, this is like, walking through a clothing store music. I was really disappointed. And I had seen him a couple of times live, and he was great. He had, when he broke up with the Police, he had incredible bands with him, really talented players. But he lost me after this for sure. I never went back, unfortunately. And then, his songs started appearing in commercials, which added to the kind of in my mind, a little bit of a sellout. But, to each his own.
I think I just really appreciated the vibe of this album. And maybe it was at the time in my life. I know it came out, I was still in college. This is before I had graduated. And it was like my senior year. and it was a great album just to just chill out. And I liked the softer, warm acoustic sound. And there, like I said, there's some other really good songs on this album. Obviously Fields of Gold became huge. If I Ever Lose My Faith in You became big, but some of and Shape of My Heart was a milder hit, but 7 Days is a great song. Saying there's a lot of good tunes on here for me, and I would just listen to the whole thing straight through. I put it on my CD player, and it's funny. I went to visit my girlfriend spring break of '93 for my senior year, and she lived in Southern California. And every night when we'd come home, I was sleeping in the guest room. This was the album I would put on to relax, kind of wind down after our day out. And it was and that's what I think of when I think of that trip. I think of this album. But I also I just always had this love affair with this particular album. It was one of my favorites of the time. And it didn't really fit the rest of the music I was listening to. So that was kind of unique. I was doing alternative music at this time, heavy, and doing much harder stuff and much more progressive rock stuff. But for some reason, this one spoke to me at the time. But I love it that we've disagreed on everything.
I mean, it was a big hit. It sold over 3 million albums in the States. You mentioned some of the singles. Lots of, I think he released 7 singles off this album. So yeah, it was probably the peak of his solo career, I would say.
And it's one of those albums that, how you have albums where you listen to the album so many times over and over again. I'm not even, other than these two, I'm not even sure which ones were actually released as singles, because they're all very, I know them all, It's kind of like, for me, like Counting Crows, August and Everything After. That album I could listen to front and back 5 bazillion times. I know every song on that. I'm not even sure, other than Mr. Jones and a few of the mega hits, which ones were singles after that, because I just know every single song. So this is an album like that. I don't know what else he released besides the 2 biggies, or maybe Shape of My Heart was definitely released too. But you're saying 7 of them were. I couldn't tell you which 7 after the top 3.
Do you remember the song "It's Probably Me"? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Clapton played on that.
Yeah, he did. I love this album. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do. I have a very fond memory of this album.
All right. We agree to disagree.
We do, but I'm glad. So you picked it because you hated it.
Yes.
That's funny.
Well, to be honest with you, Mama, I was looking at the list. I was like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. And then I was like,
You didn't want to talk about Insane in the Brain?
No, or Shaquille O'Neal's only hit, What's Up, Doc? I didn't want to talk about.
What if that comes out? I like the 4 Non-Blondes. We could have talked about that one.
That is true. But yeah. So, well, all right.
Okay. Well, we made it through 93. I wonder what we're going to get. I've got it all. Oh, see, and by the way, just looking at the top 40, Woot, there it is. It was at 18 this week. So
okay.
You could have talked about that one.
If I had known what was going on with it, I might.
You didn't notice that there was Whoomp and Woot right there in the same chart. Okay.
I did not. Okay.
Learn something new. All right, ready. We're going to pick another random Saturday between the dates of January 1st, 1970 and December 31st, 2009. I'm not hitting send yet. So we haven't had any in the 2000s yet, have we? We did. We did.
No, we had one.
We had one early. Did we? I know we had 99. I don't think we've had the 2000s yet. We'll see what we get. Do you have any guesses?
Yes, we had 99. That was the latest one we've had.
Yeah. Livin' La Vida Loca. I don't think we've had a 2000s. Do you think this is the time we get it?
I'm predicting no. Okay. Because I'm only hoping that's the case.
You're just putting it out there in the cosmic.
That's right.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's see. It's thinking. Oh, you're right. We didn't get it. Okay, so here we go. Here's our week ending, April 12th, 1980.
Oh, I love that week.
I know you're going to like that one. I was just listening to a 1980 countdown, the year-end countdown the other day, so I'm sure I'm going to have some familiarity with these songs.
Right.
So, well, that'll be our next episode.
This one was fun.
It was fun. It was fun. Lots of good nostalgia memories for me working in radio, so I enjoyed that. Well, this was great. I thank you very much, Bill, Billboard Chart Guy. I'm Mama Kay, and until next time, we will rewind when we rewind to April 12th, 1980.